Good afternoon. Welcome to Juma Game Reserve this afternoon. My name is Mark, and we're about to head out for our PM Safari. Beautiful Saturday afternoon in beginning of September 2011. Our first weekend of spring, actually. I think our dress kind of tells you that. It's lovely warm weather that we're having. Very, very hot. My name is Mark. Becky's on camera, and back in final control is Tara. And I hope we're going to find you some fun things this afternoon. Starting off, I was going to go to Gowrie Dam, down to Twin Dams Road. Look for elephant. I heard them quite recently, in fact. I heard them a few minutes ago, not far from the dam. But I got a squirrel shouting to the south of me, and it reminds me that there was a leopard found earlier, and I'm wondering if we shouldn't maybe just go and look for that leopard first. Or maybe we'll leave it for the guys to do. I want to go look for the elephant. Elephant, leopard. What shall we do? Look at some trees instead. Spring. Trees are changing rapidly, and there's some interesting things happening to them. We saw some of it this morning. Some of you, a lot of you, many of you, probably weren't with us this morning, being the middle of your night or too early in your morning. Different colors coming into the skyline, the tree line. There are still elephants down at the dam. Thank you. I wonder if the lodge is leaving Leighton. The difference in color between two knobthorns. One just coming into bloom, getting a little bit maroon on the right where the blossoms are, and the one on the left with the cream colored flowers already open. She looks pregnant too. Very big girl. Some of them are still drying off from the mud. So they are wandering maybe north because she's heading back the other way now. But she's very big. And look how deep she is. I'm wondering if was she not who we were watching this morning? I need to see her left ear perhaps a little bit better. I think it is. Missed. Oh no, right. Okay, that's really bad. Oh, he could have waited. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Thanks.
You weren't recording by any chance when I was talking earlier about dawn?
No.
Wonderful.
We're not broadcasting.
No.
Are we broadcasting now?
Yes. Well, we were, but it was cut out because of the catching up with the stream. I hope everybody's with me now. I don't know how far you're lagging behind now. I can't do that again. I got very emotional. I was talking about dawn, and sorry. There was a message we had, and we've lost someone very close to us by the name of Dawn, and I have to send my sincere condolences to friends and family. But I need to compose myself now because I got extremely emotional, and I've just learnt that it actually didn't get through to you because of the lagging of the stream. So I'll just have to recompose myself to try and say something special again. But we're with Ellie's now. Hello, children. I think you're the same kids we saw this morning on the other side of the dam. Run to your mother. Just need to see one or two individuals with a particular notch in the ear. What is he doing, that little boy? Digging. We need to even go back to the road. Oh, look at him. He can't do it with his feet, so he's getting down there and trying to do it with his tusks and his mouth. Trying to get at a root, I think. Still can't get his trunk and his feet up. There we go. He pulled it out. Somehow I couldn't manage. Just with his feet and his trunk. We were talking about tool use the other day, and I was thinking about you can't really actually say an elephant can be considered as an animal that uses tools because it has these tusks and it uses the tusks so deftly for so many different things. But I think if we had an elephant that picked up a particularly sharp stick or something and started digging with it, I think then we could say it would be tool use. As I'm looking at a little flower, by the way. I've been on the lookout for flowers for Dawn's family. Well, in memory of Dawn. I'm too close to focus on it, but that's a... I must look at my photos to see when this flower... Because it's a little bit unusual to have it now. It's more late summer flower. It's the dwarf hibiscus. But the closest we can get to it for now. Tiny little thing about the size of your fingernail. But very clearly the Malva family, Malvasia, the cotton family, or the mallow family rather. Cotton is part of it, I think. Not I think, it is, actually. And those are going to go pink and then red when they start getting old, those flowers. Let's go back to the road. They all seem to be moving back towards the road and the lodge, even though it looks like they were at the dam today. try something else. Henry, come in. Oh, wrong channel. Henry, come in. Come in.
Go ahead.
Tex, anybody check on that Ingwe at Trias?
Yeah, I'm here checking around. Hold on,
Okay, copy. Just after we closed down, they found a leopard at Trias Dam. Someone said it was in Bula. Have to be honest. I think it was maybe Mafufunya. But I didn't see him, so I don't know. How long are the hairs on an elephant's tail? What? Some youngsters that were just shouting. Sarah, hello. Sarah, how long are the tails on an elephant's hairs? Depends on the elephant. Depends on how much they use their tail and how much it wears. I'll recognize the female from this morning if I see her tail. This is definitely not her, but this is not the one I thought it was. Well, actually, it is the one I thought it was. But no, she had a very distinct set of hairs to her tail. Some elephants have bald tails. Some elephants have very little hair on their tails. Of course, hair grows and falls out. But over a period of time, they tend to have a particular bald spots. And some elephants have got very long tail hairs. I mean, she's got some fairly long tail hairs. No, she's got a very nice thick tail, in fact. The cow we were with this morning had very, very few and very short tail hairs on the inside of her tail. And look at her tail, and then she's got long tail hairs on the inside of the curl, but they sort of. Alright, we'll have to look at hers now quickly as she comes out of the bush, and you see how different. She's got sort of more of a curly hair to her tail. Also quite long, but it's almost horse-like, her tail. Equisetti. Just thinking of a tree called Equisetifolia, because its leaves are like a horse's hair. And their tails are so distinct that sometimes you can identify the back end of an elephant just by the hairs on their tail. And there's a youngster just at the back that's got virtually no hairs on his tail at all. But maybe by the time it's an adult there, it'll be different. It's not something that is constant, like the nicks in an ear or the shape of a tusk. The tail hairs are constantly changing, but over long periods of time. It's not something that changes very fast. I've seen elephants, or even bulls, with tail hairs that are 3 feet long. I found an elephant tail hair on my doorstep once. I opened my front door, and I've had elephant. In fact, this last time I was at home, middle of the night, I woke up, opened my front door, and all I could see was his shoulder and part of his tusk, where it came into his mouth. I should have my camera out, snapping some of you guys. Look at this light, beautiful light. And you've got that very distinct little notch out of your left ear. And I missed that photograph. Hello, Diane. At what age do elephants start growing tusks? It depends on some things. But just like most mammals, elephants have baby teeth, milk teeth, and then adult teeth. But those are actually only milk teeth and adult teeth that they have are their tusks. And their molars, they start with there's 6 sets of molars when they come out with the first set of molar coming in play already when they're born. So it's just their incisors, which are their tusks, that are the teeth that get replaced. So for their first year and a half or 2 years, they've got their milk tusks, and then they start growing their adult tusks. And if you have a look at this little one on our right here, just starting to protrude below his jaw, just those tiny little things below his upper lip. So he's probably already about a 3-4-year-old, and I could show you an elephant the same age as him who might have tusks longer and might have tusks shorter. So the depending part of the answer to that question is it depends on the genetics that they, and rather the gene that they carry for tusk length, because that varies throughout the population. There are some elephants that carry a gene for long tusks. Obviously, there's everything in between, from no tusks to long tusks. But even a no-tusked elephant doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't have tusks. As this little boy is now, with those if he had the gene for what appears to be tusklessness, look at this. Mom just comes along and just barges in where he's feeding, and wants to get to the roots. Watch now, she's going to dig now to get to those roots. This little one we should call Delta, because it's got a nice little triangular notch out of the ear there. Excuse me, look this way. Hey, little boy. No, that's the one that has no tail. Look at it, no tail here. Almost nothing. He abuses his tail. Oh, you didn't like me saying that, did you? Sorry, what was I talking about? Something after the tail here. Hey, baby. Hello, little boy. God, you got raggedy ears, haven't you? What you been doing with your ears? Kelton. Welcome back, Kelton. Let's try and move back here. It might disturb him. Okay, we're just going to turn around. Kelton was asking, how long can tusks grow? Well, the whole population of elephants throughout Africa carries probably one of the greatest variations in gene pools in terms of tusk length, if you think about it. Any species, there's always going to be a variation of sorts within the species. I mean, this was part of Darwin's whole premise from the finches and the Galapagos, and then turned into a study of the finches and the sizes of their beaks. And even though there was only a fraction of a difference in the size, some of the finches managed to survive better in dry seasons and droughts because their beak was fractionally longer or thicker than some of their counterparts, and some of them flourished in the wet season because the beak was thinner and they could get into seed better. So because of that variation in size and the differences, the changes in climate and the changes that animals have to adapt to, because of those factors, you pretty much always get a very wide spread of the variation in genes. But if you look at elephants and the genes for tusks, from tusks that are only maybe a few inches long to tusks that can be 6 or 7 or 8 feet long, and everything in between, that is the variation in the gene pool that elephants carry. And it depends where you are in that gene pool. And because they're all mixing it up all the time, you'd have to get females with very big tusks to mate with males with very big tusks to produce offspring with very big tusks or long tusks. If I'm not mistaken, one of the longest tusks on record was about 11 feet long. Somebody can clarify that. 11 or 12 feet long. But unfortunately, us humans have damaged that gene pool. We have probably taken out the top echelon of the gene pool in terms of tusk length. Move again.
There's some rumbling. I wonder if they're going back to the water, those females.
There might be. These are all little boys that are hanging out on their own. Maybe the zoomies can tell us if the Ellies go back to the dam, so it's not lagging behind too much. Hello Jennifer in Toronto. Interesting question, does diet affect tusk length? Well, it wouldn't necessarily affect tusk length, it might affect tusk growth and rate of growth. That might have something to do with it. The amount of nutrients and calcium in their diet coming from what they're eating. I don't know where elephants get their calcium from, but it must be from whatever they get in from the plants that they eat, obviously enough. It's quite interesting to see this little one trying to get the bark of a bent over acacia. We'll see if we can get that, because it's very flexible and it keeps bouncing away from him. Donna, hello Donna in Oregon. Do elephants give birth standing up? And do babies get up and walk straight away? No and no. They have to give, yes and no. Yes, they have to give birth standing up. They can't lie down, and especially giving birth, they wouldn't, I think that they would crush the baby if they had to be lying down, I have to be honest. But the way just the birth canal and the way the baby comes out, that would be the elephants. I've said on many occasions how similar they are to humans, and the female elephant gives birth between her back legs, not say from where a cow gives birth, the back in the rump area. I'm trying to be discreet about how I'm explaining this, but it's necessary for her to stand and spread her back legs and give birth. I have to be honest, I've never seen it in the wild. Thanks to a lot of you out there who've sent me clips from elephant births in zoos and from seeing clips from people who have filmed it in the wild. I've seen how elephant give birth, but I've sadly never managed to see it in the wild. Even though I've lived in the bush most of my life and spent so much time in the bush and so much time with elephants in the last, 30 years, I've spent more time with elephants than with humans. Never managed to witness it. There's another hibiscus flowering. Miniature dwarf hibiscus. Cindy wants to know if there are multiple births. Well, we're actually questioning the difference between twins and multiple births. Whether you would consider twins as multiple births or whether you would consider only two cubs from something that gives multiple births twins. I suppose it's semantics. But there are a couple of elephants that are known to have given birth to twins. Penny's pointed me in the direction of a female in the southern part of Kruger that has given birth to a second litter or her second batch of twins. And I suppose there again, very much a genetic thing, much as it is with us humans. For the either two eggs to be fertilized in the womb or one egg to divide in the womb. I don't know whether the twins born to elephants would be fraternal or identical. What do we call it? Fraternal, yeah. If they were females, would you call it sorority twins? What am I looking for? Dwarf hibiscus. Forgotten its scientific name. Don't have it in here. Not in this book. Let's try the Malvasia. Really enjoying that bit of bark on that tree there. 129. Oh.
I lost my other flower book's not here.
Just heard something. Hello, Tammy. Are there nerve endings in the tusks? There are nerves in the tusks, Tammy, but they don't go all the way down to the tip of the tusk. As part of a tooth. I'd say down to maybe protruding just beyond the upper lip, where the tusk comes out of the upper lip. I'd say that maybe that's about as far as the tusk, the nerves get.
So this morning, when I found it, then I found one manyani outside.
Hello, Donna.
Just inside. Would you mind if I made my call?
Donna is in Niagara. Niagara Falls. Asking if elephants are monogamous. No. No, they're not. Acrotome. Try. Who was asking for? I think the owner must be here because I can hear dogs. I'm sure you can hear them on the camera as well. I'm just looking to see if I can find the dwarf hibiscus
Cedar ternata. No, it's not really cedar ternata. It's not in this book either. It's in my other book that I don't have. Okay, thanks. Hello. I'm playing with my flower book. I'm just it's just reminding me of things that are coming still. But I was looking. I wanted the scientific name for some of you for this dwarf hibiscus. But there was a flower that was posted. I think I was even tagged in it. That Asta had posted, and she wrote this lovely poetic little thing about these fairy things that the flowers look like. It was very sweet. And I've been trying to I thought at first it might have been a typo notice, but it's not. But maybe if any of you still are interested in that little flower, go to plantsafrica.com. That's Plantz, Plants Africa, and look up acrotome. I don't know if it's this species, Espida, but one of the acrotomes, Acrotome. Has it got an English name? No, it doesn't. Might be it. Otherwise, I'll try and find it again. Wow, they're getting quite bold as it is. Let's go to the dam. That looks like they might be there. Yeah, hello Debbie. Debbie wants to know if they go somewhere private to give birth or if they stay with the herd. Well, just getting back to the monogamy thing. No, they're not monogamous. I think we would consider animals that are monogamous animals that live together as a couple, like steenbok or Egyptian geese. And elephant mostly live in a female society. It's a female-run society. There's a nice little one there that we haven't seen yet. What we call a matriarchal society, where the eldest family member, grandmother, or she could even be a great-grandmother at times, where she is the leader because of the knowledge that she holds, not through any act of dominance or ousting another female. Purely it's through age and knowledge and wisdom, and the fact that her herd consists of her daughters and their daughters and any of the male sons under puberty. And a very old female will have a fairly large following of daughters, and it will eventually get to be where when she passes on, there's not likely to be one of them taking over the whole herd. That's at a time like that maybe one daughter will go off and become the matriarch of her own herd, and one of her sisters will go off and become the matriarch of her own herd. It depends. Sometimes there might be one of the oldest daughters, or not one of, but the oldest daughter that has a significant age difference to the others, who might take over the herd for some time. But everybody that we see in a group like this is related. It's a family group. This is an old lady. There's maybe even younger sisters and her daughters and all of their children. And the males have their own lives. The males have their own societal makeup, as it were. And consequently, you can't even call them polygamous. A polygamous society. You could only really consider it if the male was constantly here with all the females and there was only one male. I was just thinking we could maybe get in here, but it might take a while for them to get here. They're slowly making their way back to the dam. But I guess, yeah. And that all leads me into answering Debbie's question, because Debbie was asking if they have a private place to go to, or if they go off to be private when they're giving birth. And well, the answer there is no, because being such a tight-knit female community where they do everything together, and child rearing is such an integral part of their life, an important part of their existence, that when one of them gives birth, it is a major social event, and the other females in the herd actually become almost like what's the word? What's the woman that helps at a birth? Midwife. Thank you, Becky. They almost become midwives, and they fuss around her and they get all excited, and there's lots of trumpeting and there's a lot of activity that goes on when an Ellie gives birth. So it's very much it's a very social, it's a very happy event amongst the elephants. Which is why I'm surprised I haven't seen it, because I know the noises they make, and I know that it must be something very, very special. Getting back to the question, whether the youngster walks after birth, it takes a little while. I think most animals, obviously the antelope are a lot quicker at getting onto their feet, but a little elephant, maybe it takes 15, 20 minutes, half an hour. I've never seen it, so I don't really know how long it takes for them to find their feet. Now she's just pushed that tree over, by the way. She's getting to a lot of the branches where there's a lot of new growth, which means that the tree has started to move all its nutrients from its roots back into its leaves. There are lots of new leaves there. And by pushing the tree over, she manages to not only feed on the tip of all those branches that she wouldn't be able to reach otherwise. Maybe I need to go a little bit forward. But she's also cutting off the defense mechanism of the tree. She's stopping the tree from pushing tannins into those leaves and making them bitter and palatable. Oh, hello, little boy. Shake your head at me. A little bit into the sun. I was talking a little boy as it wasn't even. Yeah? Gosh, got to remember all of that. Hello, Christian. 13 years old. Tara's going to have to tell me more in my ear. Christian is... East Hill Christian School, right, in Pensacola, Florida. Well, Pensacola, headquarters of the Navy. Does the Ellie's, and talking about the Ellie's diet. The elephant's diet, Christian, is very, very varied and diverse. What's wrong with that child? Excuse me a second. It's the bark. It's got red bark on the back of its foot that looks like paint. It's too russet red to be blood, but I was just wondering if it would maybe got some. But it's just red from the bark of it. Probably the bark of roots from trying to dig up roots. But as we can see, all of these Ellies now are eating branches and bark from this acacia, and I'm betting that it must have been Mom, the big old girl over there, who's more than likely the matriarch. I'm betting that it was her that pushed this tree over the way she did, and all the youngsters are coming to feed on branches. None of them would be able to reach otherwise. And so they're eating leaves, they're eating branches, they're eating bark. They will dig up roots, they will dig up bulbs and tubers, and they will pry the bark off of trees, they will eat grasses. They have probably the most varied diet in the animal kingdom. part of what they're doing now is important to their diet because they need a lot of roughage, a lot of things like branches and bark to be able to help keep their digestive system flowing smoothly in the same way as we need bran flakes and things in the morning, or we need roughage in our diet to keep our digestive system. Because if we don't have it, then food sits in your stomach too long and you stop digesting food, or rather nutrients or nutrition from that food, and it eventually it goes bad and it can cause problems. So it's important that for not only elephants but for every animal that there's a constant process of food coming in, food coming out, or waste coming out, waste that the body can no longer get any nutrition out of. And different animals have different percentages of how much they digest. I mean, you look at a hyena. A hyena probably digests 90% of what it takes in because it can digest the hair and the bone and the meat and the skin and every part of an animal. A lion digests maybe a little bit less because it can't digest the hair and it can't digest the bone. So any time a lion swallows hair or bone, you see that coming out in the dung. Much the same as with herbivores. Some herbivores you see with elephants, they're probably the lowest on the scale. What comes out in elephant dung is about 70% of what has gone in, because they only digest a very small percentage of that. And since digestion is aided by fermentation, if the stuff sits in their stomach for too long, it can start causing gases and cause problems. So they need bark, they need branches, they need very heavy stuff to act as roughage, to push it through the system so that they can make space for fresh stuff to go through that process again. Guinea in Virginia. Do elephant tusks get cavities? Well, no, not necessarily. Not if they, not unless they break them. But not cavities. I mean, if an elephant breaks its tusk very close to the base and it exposes the nerve eventually dies, and then of course you're going to get a hole where the nerve used to be, and that can eventually irritate an elephant. But in their molars, they can not necessarily cavities the way we do, because they don't eat things like the high sugar diets and what have you, things that are that rot away the teeth like that. The biggest threat to an elephant's tooth is the very roughage that I was talking about. Even grasses, as soft as grasses can be, especially now at this time of the year, grasses are very dry. They're highly abrasive. And it's like miniature blades of sandpaper every time they have a mouthful of grass. So their teeth wear down considerably. And an elephant without a teeth is a dead elephant, because without teeth they can't grind up the branches and the bark that they need to move through or to flush their digestive system. And that's one of the reasons, because of this very, very heavy, rough diet that they have, one of the reasons why nature gave them 6 sets of teeth instead of only 2 as adults. And as the teeth start wearing down, so does the next set of teeth start coming into use. And it would be no good if those teeth came up from the bottom, like ours do. When we lose a tooth, the next tooth comes from the bottom of the jaw and it moves up and it eventually grows out that way. It would be no good if that was to be the case, because you would have to lose the old tooth to get the new tooth. And the way elephants' teeth or tooth replacement works is that the tooth set moves to the front, gradually moves to the front of the jaw, and the next set starts moving into place immediately. But sometimes you can get, say, a 30-year-old elephant that's got one set of teeth almost completely worn out, dissipating or disintegrating at the front of the jaw, And the second set, or rather the next set, not second, the fourth set, or fifth set, rather, it's actually the fourth set, about the fourth set, that's starting to be used, and then already the fifth set that's coming into the jaw at the back. And as they start getting worn, now occasionally, because there are very sharp sticks and sharp thorns, not so much thorns, but spines, and I've seen so many elephant skulls and jaws in my time, and I've seen it in warthog as well, animals that have a varied diet, where an elephant can maybe get a thorn or a spine or a piece of wood wedged into the gap between, say, two sets of teeth, or into the side of the tooth where the jaw is, and it can cause an abscess. And what that can do is it can cause an abnormal growth pattern and a distortion of the jaw, but not cavities. Not cavities the way we know cavities. Marsha in Florida. Did I really say there's been elephant with tusks 11 to 12 feet long? Well, I'm waiting for confirmation. Somebody go into, just Google, longest African record tusks. Tell me if I'm wrong. But Marsha wanted to know, how could they bend down to eat or drink? Marsha, they don't necessarily have to bend anyway. They drink with their trunk. They suck up water with their trunk and squirt it into their mouth. And they take food from trees with their trunk and feed it into their mouth. I've seen tusks that are not that long, but they must get very, very heavy. It must have been very big elephant. Maybe I'm completely wrong. But I'm somewhere in my memory bank. It's something about the longest tusks on record. I mean, it comes from way, way back in the early hunting days. Where are my elephants in my book? After the carnivores. Subspecies distribution, habitat, behavior. I don't think it's got anything in my book about tusk length. No, I don't have anything in my book about tusk records. Mary Jane in Florida. Do herbivores have to eat more in winter, in dry season, winter? Yes, in a way they do. There's a lot less nutrition available to them. And some of them, like elephants, that can adapt their feeding habits, change their diet somewhat, because they then can get to, they don't necessarily eat more, they just eat different things. Other herbivores that are strictly like giraffe, strictly browsers of specific leaves, they might turn to semi-palatable leaves they wouldn't touch in summer, just to get some nutrition out of them. But they also lose condition as a result of the lack of nutrients in the vegetation in the dry season. I think we've got any down at the water yet. Anyone tell me if any of these ellies are down at the dam yet? I wanted to see what he's digging up. He's having a whale of sheep. Having a whale of a time here digging things up. Joey, Linda. Oh, let's try that again. I was listening. When I'm listening to Tara, my brain doesn't absorb it. But some people coming back with longest tusks. I think it was Joey that was saying longest tusk on record, 11 feet 5.5 inches. Bree was saying 12, and Linda was saying 12. Yeah, 138 inches. Thank you, Linda. How many pounds was that? Sorry. 217. 214. Somewhere in my memory banks, I suddenly came up with 217. And yeah, I thought it was about 11 feet on record. Just putting on a long sleeve t-shirt. It's getting cooler as we're losing sunlight. I wanted to dedicate this afternoon to one of our viewers, Dawn, who sadly passed away while waiting for a liver transplant. It's a very hard thing to lose people close to you when you are family or people that you've known all your lives, or people that you know that are close to you, that you see every day. And that kind of loss is not lessened by the fact that we've never really met, or we've never really been in the same place. But I've known Dawn for a long time now. She's been one of our viewers, and very sad to have lost one of our viewers like that. So condolences to all of you who know Dawn and her family, especially to her family. The way it's pulling its foot back, that's how that other ellie got so red at the back of its foot. Must have been pulling against the bark of a root. Now, earlier on, when we first got to these ellies, we were looking at a little one that had tusks barely protruding from the upper lip. And this little one isn't much older, and look how long its tusks are already in comparison. That was a matriarch on my right, just rumbling, telling the rest of the herd something. Couldn't quite understand it. Radio is very quiet for an afternoon like this. Lynn and Penny and Josie. Oh, Britt and Carol Rosalind, and Joanne as well, all coming through with tuskling. Thanks, everybody. And who? Janicel. Don't know that name. But thank you for tuskling. Hello, Luke and Grandma, and Suzanne in the Netherlands, and Jack, is it? And of course, Luke's grandma. Hello, Sue. All asking a similar question about elephant graveyards, which don't exist. As much as they are very social in their day-to-day lives, and as strong as those bonds become when there's a baby being born, so are they when there's an elephant dying. And at death, they crowd the dying elephant. They try and lift her or him, depends on who it is. And there's a lot of mourning that goes along, and they will often revisit that site. In fact, elephant herds are known to break branches and cover their dead with branches and sand. How's it, Ryan? I'm with the Slambian Dwarf, just opposite the lodge on Vuba Road. I don't know what else is being picked up.
Thanks, Mark. Do you know if anybody's been on the
No, my radio's been off because I've been with these in Dwarf. Copied.
Right. Yeah, afternoon, Ryan. Yeah, can I come and join you there?
So, when it comes to the elephant graveyard myth, well, that's exactly what it is. I mean, one has to think, pretty much every avenue of the elephant world has been explored. And by now, we would have found elephant graveyards. Who are you getting upset with, the starling? Or us? Or the tree that you can't get the bark off? Funny little boy. Where's the baby that was here? Didn't see where it went. It was a little one. I think we're going to have to maybe go and see at the dam. Waiting to... Don't the thorns hurt the tongue? No, this is what I was... no, this is the wonderful thing about change and adaptation to change and survival, excuse me, and what it means to adapt to your environment. The thorns on the trees. We can come back to a little dust mist on the maneuver out here. Let's go and see if there are any of the ladies at the dam. The trees develop these thorns and spines because their leaves are so tasty. But over time, all the animals that eat the leaves that are on the thorn trees, the whole process of natural selection took place, and those animals that had a slightly thicker tongue than their herd mates managed to eat a little bit more because they could deal with the thorns, and so they we might be lucky, they might actually come this way towards us. But then we'll have to go there to get them to come in front of us. They are going to maybe slowly move towards
back towards the water. We're only just out of sight of the camera. Other youngster coming in and reaching up. And this youngster saying, no, it's mine, leave it alone. I think so. Hello, Terry. Terry's just proving a very nice point there. That when you're looking for information, you often come across other information that may be even more interesting than information you were looking for in the first place. And in looking for the longest tusk, Terry came across other information that says that elephant are right tusked or left tusked, and wants to know a bit more about that. And yes, they are. I mean, some of them are ambitustrous. But one tusk is used predominantly for snapping branches or digging, and then the other tusk is used as like a spare tusk in case. Because now, if we can get closer to that tusk of this youngster on the left, I mean the right tusk, you can see, although it's a little bit shorter, there's a very distinct patch on that tusk and a particular little groove that's starting to form. And the left tusk is not as well used. We'll be able to see it maybe if he moves forward a little bit. If I move back, I can try. I think he might move forward a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Stop. Turn this way, please. This way. No, this way. That's that way. I want you to turn this way. Stopped a little bit too much. Stopped in the right place for me. But he's already developing a groove. He's also playing, he's asserting a little bit of dominance. Look at that. Pushing that other youngster away. So more than likely he's the matriarch's son, and the other one is the son of one of the other females. And he seems to think he's got dominance over that little boy. But he's pushed him away 3 times now. So yes, a slave tusk and a master tusk. And if they damage their slave tusk, the tusk that they'll use, they'll have to use the other one, and it takes a while to get dexterous with it. It's not something that they, like us, if we had to, something happened to our, if we were right-handed and something happened to our left hand, it would take us a while to be adept with the left hand. Is this mama coming? Yeah, she's a mama coming up along this pathway towards us, and I'm going to be in her way, so I want to move before, if she's still coming this way, yeah, before she gets here. I think she's coming this way. She's got a youngster with her. She's going to feed first. I'm kind of blocking the little path that takes them down to the water here, so I want to just move to a position that will give them the freedom to come in front of us rather than have to squeeze behind us. Hang on.
Right. Very well, sir. Now, when I think, come on, it's fine,
Don't have much of a view now, but I'm hoping they're going to come into view. Ryan, are you at the den? Where are you at with Shimungra?
Okay, copy, thanks. Bob in Texas wants to know if elephants can hear long distances through the pads of their feet. Well, yes and no. Not quite. It's not that they hear, Bob. They feel that they can pick up vibrations. And I suppose, in a way, hearing is all about picking up vibrations. But it's not hearing in the sense of hearing like an ear. To some degree it is. I mean, if you had to... I'm just thinking about the new speaker technology where they're using your inner ear and your actual skeleton to produce sound, that you only have to, I don't know, something in Japan where you can actually just put your finger in your ear and you can hear things because of the... Don't laugh at me, it's true. You know how you can hear inside your head, you can hear, even if you blocked your ears and you hum, you can hear inside your head. And that is sound that is reaching your inner ear through the vibrations and coming into your body. So yes, to some extent they hear, but I think more than that, perhaps it's all about they're able to feel vibrations, and it is believed that they use that kind of communication for even longer distances than their low volume or rather low frequency rumbles. So I was going to move forward, having a bit of a rub on that marula tree. What is that in blossom down there? That's just a quarry coming into leaf. There are quite a lot of elephant. We've only been sitting with a few at a time, but they're quite well spread out throughout this forested area, and I think there's quite a lot of them. I'm hoping they're going to move. We're only about, what's it, 50 yards from the water. I had him. Oh, and a female fly. I had him. Wow, female paradise flycatcher sitting in the tree. Wow. And a white-bellied sunbird sitting. I had him on the window as well with two females, and they were looking at all those bits of tape and looking for spider webs. So they're making nests now, the sunbirds. Also, a couple of days ago, Tara's just saying on the window at FC was a white-bellied sunbird. I had him there too. And these ladies looking for spider silk. They use spider silk to sew a nest together. Lichen and spider silk and other soft materials. We're making our way now to the mud pool. One of the moms is heading out that way now. One of the babies is at the mud, I think. But Jenny in Virginia, yes, indeed. Due to, especially hunting in this, call it the 18th, 19th centuries, and in the 20th and 21st centuries, poaching. This tusk link, this is what Jenny found in also in searching for tusk links, found this information that tusk length is shortening. Average tusk length is shortening considerably due to poaching and human demand for ivory. Well, unfortunately, us humans don't learn until it's too late. There's a very simple fix to all of this.
So all the poaching and everything is very, very simple fix. Governments, laws, and implementing those laws and harsh sentences. Just there are ways to deal with it, and just the priorities are not there. The governments do not prioritize things. Big old lady is now rumbling. I don't know, she's stopping the other old girl from, the two females here. Let's get a little bit closer. That young female is in the mud. We'll be able to get some nice shots for Juma. This is right in front of the rooms, and a beautiful backdrop of room 2 and 3 and 4 here at the lodge. Somebody asked earlier, I don't know if I got to it, whether elephants lie down or to sleep. Not really. They lie down when they're in these kind of situations. Babies can lie down. This noise is this female that's coming in front of our camera now. It's got this little boy that's trying to drink, and she's just saying, no, watch. He's going to try and drink, and she's going to rumble, and she's going to say no. Or maybe she's letting him. No, she doesn't want him to drink. Hello, Kim in Wisconsin. You can tell your hubby that the dam here at Gowrie Dam is man-made. It's man-made, but it's filled up naturally. It's not filled up by humans. It's filled up by rain. Hello, beautiful girl. You're coming to say hello to me. It's okay, if you want to come, you can come this way. We're going to be able to count them now. Everybody's coming out. Here's a little one that I saw earlier with its mum. I think she wants me to move. Yes, she did. Give the children a little pool of mud, and what they're going to do, they're going to play. Past time. Sun setting behind the cabin number 2, room number 2. Heather in Maine, how thick is an elephant's hide? I believe it's a few inches thick. I don't really know. I need to watch that program again. I've never had the opportunity, or I suppose in a way, luckily, never had to cut into an elephant. Hello, Linda. Are there any plants and things I want to see in Gabon? And would I go on a walking safari? Linda, I want to live in Gabon. I want to go and live in those forests. And not just a plant. I want to see, there's so much. I want to see the gorillas. I want to see the forest elephants, the forest buffalo. I want to see just everything. There's going to be so much different and so much new stuff there for me. But I wanted to go to Gabon long before I even met Seb. I've been wanting to go to Gabon for about 5 years now. Since I came back from Tanzania. Problem with going to Gabon is, first of all, I don't speak French. And second of all, it would mean I'd have to get back into the tourism game, running camps and things. And I don't know if I want to get back into that. The tourism side. What are you doing, girl? That's like the heron's perch. That's a skeleton of a Stichosaurus. Okay, I'm going to have to move a little bit because if they're going to want to come around this, well, they can come any side of us. Where we look, we don't know where to look first. It's okay, we're not going to move right now. Got this tiny little one in front of me that's just learning to use his trunk and pick at a few branches. He's tugging at grass stalks like adults tug at trees. They want the green vegetation on the side and the edge of the water there. They'll probably eat all the heads off of those sedge grasses. Hello, Ed Daves. Oh, what, just suddenly remember there was a little one that you forgot about coming to check on the baby. I'm not doing anything, don't worry. Run out of battery. I read somewhere there were no elephants in Kruger in 19... What? No, I don't think they were wiped out entirely, but their population was decimated. But I don't recall 1903 and 5. Problem, Ed, there were no aeroplanes to fly over Kruger, and there were no roads. So maybe nobody saw elephants, but doesn't mean there weren't any elephants. I don't buy that for a minute, I'm sorry. There had to have been a population of elephants for these elephants to be here. Okay. Hello, girls. Oh, no, we don't flash, Mark. Hello, Mrs. E. Very proud old girl. Jack wants to know if elephants see in color. We think so, Jack. I think they do. It is believed so. When you don't have a tree, use another elephant as a rubbing post. Lots of rumbling.
Hello, babies. Young lady, you are full of mud. Your baby. Must be, I reckon it's her first baby. These are all the children. There are far too many children for adult females here. There's not time to drink. They go much further on where the water's cleaner to drink. They've been stepping in the water on the end here where it's muddy, but they're going further up to drink. It would be nice if we could get around to that side, but it'll take too long. Other mom, who looks preggy, getting at some of the acacia blossoms and leaves. She'll come around the side shortly, no doubt. Hello, Dolly. Well, hello. Nice to have you back again. Where you belong, on the drive. A little bit blown out. Turn around anyway. They're behind us and we got stuff in the way. Dolly's asking about another myth. Oops. Elephants and marula trees and marula fruits. No, that's a myth, Dolly. Can't happen, doesn't happen, won't happen. Ah, look how she's stretching up. That's also a nice shot in front of room 1. Gotta quickly get that because it's a nice. It's just, that's. It doesn't really come out nice. The light's not great. If it was the morning, early morning, it would be fantastic. Okay. Back to the drinking crowd. Oh, they're wading through. You've got to see the little one go through. Maybe they're going to swim a little bit. Other side. Oh, look, they're going to have a swim. Wash all of that mud off. This is beautiful. You see how patience is rewarded, folks. We sat with them, and it might not have been great earlier on just watching them, just feeding. But now it's time to move on. We're going to see this very little one. This is going to be very interesting. It's not that deep, but this very little one might be just too deep for the little one, so it might have to be helped along by the adults. It does swim. The elephants do swim, and it will probably paddle across in the wake of its mother, or maybe they'll go round. Who knows? Elephants are good at problem-solving skills. Hello, Minerva. Are there hummingbirds in spring or summer? No, Minerva, no hummingbirds in Africa.
We have birds that are called sunbirds. They're not related to hummingbirds, but they look similar. But they don't hover. They sit on the flowers and drink the nectar. But no hummingbirds in Africa. It reminds me, I know it's Millie's birthday. I had a look on Facebook. There was Millie's birthday. There are actually a couple of birthdays today besides Blonde Viking. Okay, here goes Mom. Mom of the baby. Mom is going to start making her way through the water, and we're going to see little one follow now. Let's see this little train of Ellies. Off you go, baby. Drinking with its mouth rather than its trunk. Just about a year old or so. It doesn't like the water. It's too deep, Mommy. Must have said something because she's turning back. She's going to now encourage it and probably give it encouragement and reassurance that she might even actually walk around if little one is too worried about crossing. It's getting cool. Well, I don't know why you want to be wet at this time of the evening. Maybe they don't feel it as much as I would feel it. And we're walking, the big female's walking right up to the camera now, almost, behind the camera. What is little one doing? With the older siblings. Hello, Ed in New York. Evidently someone said that elephants don't have sweat glands and that it was 36 degrees today. I don't think it was 36 degrees today. I don't even think it got to 30. But no, they don't really have sweat glands. They have ears that help cool them down. And they do what they're doing now. They have mud bars and they swim in the water. But it's the flapping of ears that helps cool them down. There you go, you've got the rest of the family coming right up to the camera on Juma Waterhole Cam now. And because little one didn't want to cross, look, Mom's actually come out of the water now. She's not crossing and following. She's going to walk around the dam. We'll follow her. Little one got long stockings on. That's as deep as little one wanted. As soon as his belly got wet, it's too cold, it's too deep, don't want to. And Mom actually turned around and came back and has decided she'll go around the outside. Sometimes the youngsters have no choice. But under the circumstances, not a very big dam. Chasing the guinea fowl. Get out of the way, guinea fowl. Okay, let's drive slowly behind them. We've still got the other old female here on our right with her son. They're still feeding in front of room 1. Oh, that nearly rhymes. Come on, camera. Vulture Appreciation Day. Okay, let's follow them. Hello, Linda. Anyone know the oldest elephant in Juma? Well, the oldest elephant in Juma would be the oldest elephant in Kruger. Because the elephants that are here are not just Juma elephants. These elephants roam far and wide into other game reserves, into Kruger National Park. They come from Kruger. But no, I don't think anybody really knows the exact age of the oldest Ellie. I can find out from the elephant study group. But I'm afraid I can't answer that one, Linda. Don't know. We're talking about 14, maybe 15,000 elephants. And I don't think anybody knows all 14 or 15,000 of them. I need to, one day, I don't know when I'll do it, maybe when I grow up and I'm an old man, I'll put all my elephant photos together. I've got hundreds and hundreds, because I just end up with a digital camera. I just end up clicking away endlessly. Wow. Over 1,000 views on Wild Earth. What did I once say, Tara? Don't remind. Yeah, fireside chat. I wonder if anybody else remembers what I once said about 1,000 viewers. 1,000. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wild Earth broadcast here from Djuma Game Reserve. Actually, it's Djuma's broadcast and Wild Earth at Djuma Game Reserve here in the Sabi Sand. Fantastic to have all of you with us. It's a beautiful weekend for all of us. I know it's autumn in some parts of the world, spring for us. It's the perfect time of the year when I think our temperatures almost match. You're going through somewhat cooler temperatures and we're going through somewhat warmer temperatures. And I believe, Linda, it's still hot in Dallas. Come, little one, you can't be an elephant and afraid of water. Hello, Kayleen. Sounds like maybe Kayleen. Interesting, nice name. Haven't heard that name before. Oh, the beautiful sky. I wonder, we need to maybe... I need to get around these ellies. Magic afternoon. My favorite pastime of all times. My favorite thing to do. My favorite. That's it. Drop me off and leave me here, and don't even bother coming to fetch me. Spending time with elephants like that. Okay, now I've forgotten. What did Kayleen want to know? Hello, Kayleen. Welcome to our broadcast. Right about hippos. You will learn very quickly that I have a very short attention span, and that things go in one ear, they kind of whirl around in my head, and then they don't even come out. They just get lost somewhere in the back of my mind. And sometimes it comes back to me and sometimes it doesn't. But luckily I have Tara that's whispering well, talking in my ear and telling me. Kayleen was asking if there were hippos in the dam, would the ellies have gone in the water? Yes, the ellies wouldn't have made one iota of difference to the elephants whether there were hippos in the water or not. Hippos would have given way, would have given them some leeway, some space. Oh, this is well, maybe one shot, a couple of shots from here, but I want that sunlight. And we need that from a different angle. But just, oh, sorry, Dicko. Just quickly, this golden light. And our elephants coming to that little peninsula. And mum and baby. But hang on, Becky, I just want one more try at a different shot. We're losing the sun, so we might not see the sun. In fact, we won't see the sun from down there. trying to get you the best angles and the most beautiful shots and the most beautiful light. And just, I wish I could have one camera up there on the damn wall because it's got the setting sun, but you know, this is going to make up for it. This is the spillway. You might hear us talking about a spillway. Below 100. Linda. Dallas. Okay, might have to move the base of the camera if we can, because we're going to be at a strange angle. I might have to put my nose in the water. Just to level it. It should be level, eh, Becky? Not bad. Now baby's got to go in. Well, we'll see. There's another one that's having a swim in the middle. There's a young bull who's completely submerged. Hello everybody, if you're looking at us, hopefully you're looking at the Ellies. There's the sun setting through the chimney and the main building of the lodge. There's so much happening right now that is so beautiful. Can't tell you. And we just don't know where to point the camera, but lots of rumbling because this lot are still on this side of the water. I think it's still because of the little one who's now suckling. And now that I'm so close to the water, I'm going to wet my feet. Also want to put my feet in the water because the elephants are. See, there was black clay on the top end of the dam, and on this end of the dam there's this white, beige clay. That's why they take on different colors. So this little one is now, there's one coming towards us. Got black stockings and brown shoes. Are you going to splash me? Hello, little boy. Hello, pretty girl. Hello, little baby. Hello, little one. Too precious. Going to join the rest of the clan. What is so amazing is that some of these youngsters actually came around the dam with the mum and her calf. They're not all her children. She's not a very old cow. They're just all family, and they're just all concerned for her and the baby. It just goes to show how unified they are they could have gone through, especially the one that was swimming. He could have easily swum through the water to the other side. Time for a dust bath now on top of the mud. It's called makeup, elephant makeup. He's just thrown a bit of eyeliner there across the eye. Or below the eye. Blush, no, that's what it is, cheek. It's on her cheek, so it's blush. Wait for me, mommy, wait for me. Grab the tail, little one. Sally's always wanted to see Ellie's holding tail. Oops, we're getting a bit deep. Oh. Whoops. It was quite steep. Anything fall off there? Hello, Doug. I need to know about the elephant graveyard. Missed the comment earlier. I was just saying that the elephant graveyard is a little bit of a myth. Actually, you know, Doug, thanks for bringing it up, because I didn't quite get finished with that. And, well, I proved my own point about how fleeting my mind is. When an elephant dies in a group, or even if it's a bull, there will always be elephants that know that elephant that will come by where that elephant died. And over time, after the vultures and the scavenger and the lion and the hyena, because it'll attract lion, it can attract most predators except for things like cheetah and wild dog. But leopard, lion, hyena, jackal, and some of the smaller creatures will come along and feed on the carcass. And eventually, when it's just bone and the elephants come past it again, family members will actually pick up bones and feel them and almost, look at that, that's new, I knew I've got an elephant rolling in the sand there. We don't see them lying down much, but it's time for a dust bath because they're wet. It helps seal the skin, it helps sort of create a nice little layer of, like talcum powder basically. And so over time, you actually don't find any bones at all from elephants, because the bones get distributed over such a wide area. Okay, maybe you'll find one or two bones in the vicinity, but generally the bones, when baby's lying down, doesn't have the ability to throw dust on itself with its trunk. It's just easier, just roll in the dust, you get more dust on you, less effort. Can you just move out of the way, please, children? You're blocking our view, the two of you. It's protection. It's all about protection, letting the little one do what it wants to do, rolling down while female on the left, I think it's a little bull on the right. And another Ellie in the grass is rubbing its belly. And also lying down in the grass. Here comes Grandma. Baby's battling to get up. Let's see if one of them helps it. Or maybe it's just... yeah, look, she's trying to help it with a foot and then a trunk. There, now helping. Come, help, baby. Yes, get the legs under it. Help, lift it up. Come on, lift it up. tired from all the effort. Look at the care that is shown here, and these aren't even mom. These are just sisters. So some people do remember the 1,000 viewers. Na 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 na. I swore I'd never do the chicken dance, and then I was nagged. So I said, okay, if we get 1,000 viewers, do the chicken dance. And then I did the chicken dance just when we all said goodbye to Safari TV. Bye. I suppose that doesn't count. Okay, we're planning a fireside chat for next Sunday, not tomorrow Sunday, next week Sunday. It's kind of a special day for a lot of our viewers. We'll touch on that as well, but it's time to have a fireside chat. It's time to see how it'll work. It's not easy for us to do a fireside chat with only 3 of us in camp, and we're all busy at the drive, but we'll have help from Jumalot, from Vuyatela, from our colleagues at Vuyatela. And they'll set up the fire and hopefully set up everything. So we're planning on a fireside chat tomorrow week after drive. Also, Vulture Appreciation Day or Awareness Day. Same thing, different but the same. We were supposed to see a vulture this afternoon. We can say goodbye to these. Let's say goodbye to the Ellies. It's getting dusk. Let's give them the peace and quiet that they need this time of day. They're going back to feeding. We're not going to have better than what we've just had. It's going to be a long time to have an elephant time like that. So let's hold that in our memory. Let's move on down Twin Dams Road. We'll go to Chelapan and we'll go and see if we can find this leopard that was lurking around Treehouse Dam. So welcome to Juma, everyone. Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening for us. Afternoon for some parts of Europe and UK. Saturday morning for the US. Late Saturday night for New Zealand, Australia. Have we got some of our New Zealand, Australian viewers? Diane and Shanae and Stacey, and there was Kevin, and anyone else in Australia, just let me know, or New Zealand, if I haven't mentioned you. Station's leaving Colombian Glove, just west of Gary Dam, heading up to English Pine. Any update for the last hour?
I think nothing much, Mark. Just a music I just heard that I just
Okay, thanks, Dick. The radio's been exceptionally quiet after the noise of the last few days. We should have maybe, well, we didn't. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. You know, one of those things. We could have headed up to the old Buffalo Kill and seen vultures for Vulture Appreciation Day. But I'm sure there's still a bunch of vultures there cleaning up that carcass. The lion have all left, moved north. JK. Not KJ. We have a KJ as well as a JK. JK as in Rowley. Do ellies hold their tails in the wild like they do? I thought it was a circus trick. Now I have seen it in the wild. I have seen youngsters holding mum's tail. A young water bucket was in the road up ahead. Hello, fluffy child. Heading out of the bush back into the open for the evening. Safer for the animals, especially the herbivores. Safer for them in the open where they can see danger coming off, or they can hear it at a distance if there are twigs and things that break. Greater chance of detecting danger when there's more open ground between you and the surrounding tree line. And during the day, when there's the least likelihood of predators moving about, you go into the thicker bush because that gives you better shade, and of course they're all looking up that way. They can hear something that I can't. Maybe we should have gone round. Also, the other thing is that in the thicker, shadier regions, like off to our left here, which is going down into the drainage line, cooler temperatures in the shade means that there's less dry vegetation, there's more nutrition. So it helps them as well, apart from the fact that they can stay under cover during the day. When it's hot, there's more to eat down there. But it's dangerous to be in the thick bush like that, because if there's going to be danger, it's going to be right on your tail, as opposed to in this more open grassland. It gives you time to react. Maybe just before it gets dark we can have a look at the vulture nests. Lynn in Canada was sending me details about last year's timing, and it was more or less late October that we had vultures and their baby in the nest, and that, I think, excuse me, fits in with the timing now, because if they're starting to nest now, maybe laying an egg now, I think it's about a 6-week incubation. I'm not sure. Let's check on that. But by the end of October we should have a chick in the nest that's visible above the rim of the nest. But also the jackalberry tree that it's in is going to be changing every day as we move on in time. I'm just going to wait till we're through the dip and I'll show you what I mean. Oh! I forgot about that tree stump. Okay, let's see. There's one of the vultures. There's a vulture in the nest. What we're going to need to look out for is when we come back here and see its mate probably sitting in a tree nearby. Only one of them will be on the nest at a time with the youngster, or with the incubating. So there, we had to get at least a vulture for today, being Vulture Appreciation Day. They are incredible birds. I know some people call them ugly. It's wrong to say that anything in nature is ugly. We are not allowed to judge things the way we judge beauty in the human world. In nature, everything has form and function. Form that fits its function, or vice versa. And a vulture looks the way it does because it performs a vital function in nature, and If any of you saw those wonderful close-ups that Becky had of that hooded vulture yesterday, how could you call that ugly? It's an intriguing looking bird, but it's a work of art. Nothing in nature can be ugly, sorry. I know a lot of you will disagree. Some of you find spiders and bugs ugly, and snakes ugly, and vultures and hyenas ugly. Ugly is not a word that is allowed to be used in the same sentence as nature or Mother Nature or anything that Mother Nature has produced. Keep it to the human world. There are ugly things in the human world. Okay, Miss or Mrs. or Mr. Vulture. Now the jackalberries we're going to be noticing, in fact we can already see, sorry Becky, are starting to go yellow because they're going to start losing their leaves. Very soon that nest, maybe in a couple of weeks time, that nest is actually going to be quite exposed. So, Kathy, what now? Sorry, what's that car? Kathy was saying, hi Kathy. Well, elephants grieve over another elephant. And will all of them come and say goodbye? Yes, very much so. They do grieve over lost family members. Not all of them. I can't say all the elephants will come and say goodbye, but certainly all the family members and relatives. And any elephant that knew that elephant will be well aware of it. It's amazing how they know just the smell and the feel of the bones. It's quite incredible to see when they come across an elephant skull and they start feeling around the forehead area and around the cheek area, because those are features that are unique to an elephant. I mean, it's like a blind person being able to feel the features of an individual human and recognize someone by touch. And that skull is something that can, just by feeling it with their trunks, they know who it would have been anyway, but it can remind them of the living elephant that it was. And they do mourn, they do grieve. They're extremely emotional animals, elephants. How many elephants are in our area? Okay, Kelton, nice to have you with us still. Seems we've got a new safari addict. Kelton, nice to have you, dude. Okay, but now you have to tell me how many, you want to know how many elephants there are, but in what area? They're about, of the Kruger National Park, because we're part of the Kruger National Park, they're probably around 15,000 elephants now, maybe a little bit more, not sure. I don't know if any of you, yesterday I think it was, the day before, 2 days ago, there was a helicopter flying up and down. You must have heard it on the Juma Waterhole cam, and some of you are probably wondering what it was. Well, there was an elephant flying up and down, and what that elephant was is it's an annual game sensor. It's the Kruger Park chopper, the helicopter that comes from the Kruger National Park. And this time of the year, before the things come into leaf, August going into September, this is the time of year when an annual game census is done. And what they do is they fly a grid up and down almost the whole of Kruger. They don't have to do the whole of Kruger, they do bits here and there, and they count the large mammals. it'll be interesting to see the figures that come out of this year's game census and how many animals they estimate to be in the whole of Kruger. You've got to remember Kruger National Park is very, very big. It's millions, it's 7 million acres. It's huge. And there have got to be about 15,000 elephants in the whole of Kruger. We're only about 2,500 acres out of those 7 million. So it's tiny, tiny, tiny little scratch of that whole area. And we don't have a permanent population of elephants. Because we're such a small area, the elephant are constantly moving through Djuma Game Reserve. Today we might have 50, tomorrow we might have 20, the next day we might not even have 1. And then the next day we might have 10. So elephants use such a large area that they only come through Djuma Game Reserve. We don't have elephants that are resident here, that stay here all the time. So my first okay, let me wait till we go through the dip and I'll get Dr. Rita's question. No, I think I was finished. I was just saying that we're going to start on the southern side of Treehouse Dam, look for tracks of this leopard, see if he's moved. Maybe he's gone back to the water, maybe he's woken up. Thank you, Dr. Rita, Florida. That's the right person to look for that kind of information. I don't know if Penny has more information, but Dr. Rita saying she's looking for more information about elephant twins, whether it is an egg that splits, cell division kind of thing, or whether it is 2 eggs that are fertilized. There goes that greenback heron. So something's just arrived at the water, because that is actually a night. You can also hunt at night, that greenback, and there's no reason why it should leave the water unless maybe there's a leopard that was there. Maybe he's there. Forward to finding out what Dr. Rita has can find. Sandra, do we have hornbills, and do the African grey parrots come this far south? We do have numerous hornbill species, and I'm sorry I didn't find you any this afternoon. We should have, they're quite common. Yellow-billed, red-billed and grey hornbills. And we also have the somewhat endangered, actually it's not somewhat, highly endangered southern ground hornbill. But we do not have African grey parrots. They don't come as far south as the equator, and we are about 24 degrees south of the equator, so we're considerable distance south of the African grey parrots. We have brown-headed parrots. It's much smaller, lime green parrots with a brown head. You'd think they'd get a better name because they've got these lovely green wings, and they're green. Lime, just bright green. I think that somebody would come up with something better than brown-headed parrot. Confirm Nyala Dam, text. Okay, thanks. Yeah, kitty, 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 kitty. First we're going to go up onto the dam wall, and it's getting dark, so we're going to need to use the light. The light's going to help us too, because our should pick up, if there's a cat around here, I'll pick up the reflection of its eyes with the light. So first we're going to look this way. So far nothing, looking this way. Anybody down below the dam? Where you, cat? Where are you, cat? Did anyone find Mkonzo from that Ingwe Trias dam?
Yeah, Mark, look at this one over my door there. It was very cheap. It was river place. It's very cheap. It was
Twin dam.
area. I took elephant trail, I took Twin Dam Road, Caravan Road.
Okay, copy, thanks. Okay, so time to, I think those waterbuck might have been seeing him. Let's go this way. He's not here at the dam, he left the dam. Ephraim found tracks leading east from the dam, but he didn't find any tracks on Twin Dams Road, which is where we've come from. So let's go down back to, let's do another loop around Chelapanway, or rather make a big loop, because those waterbuck heard something, which means that maybe that they didn't see something, but they might have heard an alarm call of a Franklin that we didn't hear, something from this leopard walking around. Now, this is the time of the day that a leopard is going to be patrolling. He's going to be waking up after sleeping all day, and not that he's, well, I guess you could say he'll be hunting, but it's not that he's aiming for any particular place to hunt. He's going to just move along, and whatever if something comes up, he'll hunt it. There's an R down there, but it's probably a bush baby because it's in a bush. Oh, that might have sounded weird, but yes, bush babies are in bushes. That's why they're called bush babies. Actually, very small primates. The smallest primates we get here. So we want to find a cat. Somebody said Mvula. I don't know. Actually, the other thing is that he would have, if it is Mvula, he would have gone on to Gary Main. So maybe he would have gone south. If it was Mvula, he wouldn't have gone north. So let's go south. Oh, more buffalo. Hello, buffalo. You the boys that Tara saw yesterday. Okay, we're going to leave them. They're diurnal animals. Oh, here's another big one. Hello, Mr. Buffalo. You don't really care that I'm 3 feet away from you. Only I do. Those are big horns. Pardon? Could have grabbed his tail, yeah. Becky was right next to him. But he was quite relaxed. Okay, I think we need to go a little bit south. Because that's what I think. No, 2 miles now. No. No, I'm gonna still go by. Gee, can we just cut it in half, and half of the vehicle and camera could go that way, and half of the vehicle and camera can come this way? Let's go this way. I'm thinking of a leopard that is maybe more than likely to, if it was Mvula, he's gonna head back towards Gari Main and Twin Dams rather than head up towards Gari Dam. That's not his area, that's Bilu Jordan. Even if it was Mafufunyan, just that Mvula has never come this far east, west, not east, west, from the east. At Gary Dam. Maybe it means I made a good decision, because those waterbuck might have seen the hyena running around. Hyena at Gary Dam. To my waterhole camera. Just remember that in between these drives, when you're not watching our drives, we do 2 drives a day, 3 hours each. And in between, when we don't have the drives out, you can always see some of these animals coming down to the water at Gari Dam. And that is on the Juma waterhole camera link. It's a live cam. It's operated by some of our viewers that we call zoomies, because they zoom in on the animals. And they're all quite alert, listen to the sounds, and swing the camera around when they hear alarm calls. Well, the zoomies know what they're up to, and sometimes find some wonderful things, not only during our day but during our night as well. Been some incredible shots of leopard and lion. Oh, you want headlines? Oh, I forgot about, I don't have headlines again. But why when I put the lights on it doesn't come on? Last night we put the lights on. I think there's a loose connection in the switch. They're not there. No, I think it's the pedal on the steering. There's a loose connection somewhere. No tracks. But I'm not expecting there to be tracks here. I'm expecting to see something down towards Baboon Pan and Spin Dams. Moon's almost directly overhead, probably tomorrow, which will be first quarter. I think we're one day, yeah, we're about a day away from first quarter, which means that we have full moon next week. You can see, I thought it was a flash, it's another vehicle coming along. Sorry Tara, I didn't quite get all that. I was concentrating on what was going on up ahead of me. I'll get back to Nyan in a sec. Hello, how are you, Henry? Hi. I'll see you later. So Diane was saying? Thank you, Diane. Vultures. Diane is saying vultures feed on carcasses, but do they take food back to the nest for the youngsters? They do, in their crop, like a lot of other birds, and they regurgitate it. See, vultures have the inability, they're incapable of grasping food in their talons. There's one vulture, the lammergeier, the bearded vulture, that can do that, and I think the leopard-faced vulture has been known to do that. But most of the vultures, like the hooded and the white-backed and the white-headed vulture, the cape vulture, they might be able to fly with something in their beak, like a bone, but not often. They take meat back in their crop and they regurgitate it for their chicks, as opposed to eagles, who will take food back in their talons. They'll take dead animals back to the nest in their talons. I don't know if some of you remember, just a little while ago when it was raining, I was showing you pictures, and we had that it's better do it in daylight, but anyways, I was showing you pictures of the mapokos on the buffalo kill. You can't even tell that there was once a buffalo kill here, but there was. In fact, in the space of about 300 meters, we've had, I think, 4 buffalo kills here in about 2 years. With mapokos, machingalans, big male coalitions. Might be a rib or two. Oh, well, that's scrubby. Sit and listen for a minute. One of our nocturnal creatures. Not a rabbit. It is a hare. A scrub hare. Although very difficult to tell the difference between a cape hare and a scrub hare. Very, very similar pelage. Almost impossible to tell from just looking at it like this, and sometimes the only way to tell is to see whether there are actually grooves in the incisors of the animal. So that's a scrub here. Hares are more nocturnal and rabbits are more diurnal. Hares are more solitary or monogamous. Rabbits are communal. Hares don't burrow. They have a scraping above the ground. And because they live above the ground, and when they give birth to their young, which are only maybe 2, maybe 3, but only about 2 young, the young are born with eyesight and with fur, and like an antelope and other animals, because of the dangers that exist above ground, the little ones have to run around very soon after birth. As opposed to rabbits, when they're babies, the kits are born, they're little pink blind things, squirming worms that have to be protected and suckled by mom for days, weeks before they come above ground. And there are a lot more of them that are born than the hares. Difference between the hare that is precocial and the rabbit which is altricial in terms of how the young can cope with life shortly after birth. We do not have any rabbits here in this part of the world. We have an animal that is probably one of our most endangered species. It's known as the riverine rabbit. That is quite an anomaly, in fact, based on what I've just told you, and proof that there are always exceptions to the rule when it comes to nature, because the riverine rabbit is a little bit of both. It is a solitary animal. It lives above ground, doesn't burrow. Its young are born pretty helpless. So it has characteristics of hares, and it has no, I lie. I think its young are born. I do lie. wrong. It's younger born like that of a hare, yet most of its characteristics are like that of a rabbit, and it's called a riverine rabbit. We have rock rabbits, the red rock rabbit, mountainous rabbits, also quite rare. Not to be confused though with an animal called the hyrax or dussie, that is a nickname rock rabbit. But they're not rabbits, not even rodents. They're different shaped elephants. Smelling elephants. And I'll get to Jen's question shortly about nature balancing out elephant populations. But just to get back to, I wanted to say something else. I forgot now. I paused in that dip. There was another point I wanted to make. I forgot. Or maybe I'll think of it. I wanted to say something else about. What is that? Buffalo? Coming down already from further up towards the dam. Are they here already? Given a chance, this is from Jan, would elephant populations not balance themselves out? Would nature not? Okay.
Yeah, again, we can copy. I'm coming up to Yalladam from the south.
Sorry, Mr. Buffalo. Where are you boys going? We've got to wait for this procession to go by. Interesting question, and it's interesting because there's a national park called Tsavo National Park, famous for the lions that were man-eaters there in the early 1900s that killed so many people when they were building the railway line from Nairobi to Mombasa. And Tsavo National Park had a huge population of elephants. It was very, very wild, so there wasn't that much poaching there at one point. But the warden of Tsavo was a wonderful man by the name of David Sheldrick. And a lot of you have come across the work that his wife does. Sadly, David has passed on, but his wife Daphne, 40 odd years ago, 35 years ago, started an elephant orphanage, and it is still very, very prominent today. The David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust and the Elephant Orphanage. But David had this theory that if you left the elephants, then the population would sort itself out. Obviously, aesthetically, it would be unacceptable to most human beings if Kruger was to do something like that. The bush in Tsavo, David had this theory that it was once upon a time there was open grassland, and then as everything changes in nature, so through fires and seeding, it became very dense bush, and he believed that that by elephants feeding on the bushes and doing what they do as elephants, they would eventually eat themselves out of all of their own food. They would overextend themselves to the point where they would modify their habitat from an overpopulation to the point where they could no longer sustain their own population, and lots of the elephants would die. And this actually did occur, it did happen. It was at a time when South Africa was doing its own elephant population control measures, which was a bit frightening. And it actually worked out very well, because they did modify the environment and they did turn it back into grassland. And I don't know what happens now in Tsavo. But it was just interesting that what did happen was a natural succession. There's no such thing as balance. Nothing is ever in a balance.
Yeah, we think we're going in going from that area. But while we were having Kishayan, basically not the Bajika Katlan as an area. And we was wondering something, there was some municipality, and some of them were coloring it.
This leopard might have gone as far east as Chitakatlan. Not to worry. Nothing ever stays the same in nature. There's a constant fluctuation of population levels and densities of vegetation. And, well, everything is governed by the amount of rain that falls and the amount of growth that happens. And there's never anything in such a flatline state of balance. There has to be these discrepancies and this fluctuation. Populations will rise and populations will crash. It's been going on for millions of years, and to think that us humans have influenced it so much in only a few hundred years, a couple of 200 or 300 years, not even. And for millions of years, everything has just been running just fine. But it has reached the point now where we have pressured animals into such small areas, even though they might have 7 million acres here in Kruger. There are still limitations. The elephants can't expand to the west. It's too much civilization. It's too much farming and agriculture. Humans will never give that up unless they learn how to farm on the moon or something. But as big as the area is, there is still a problem with allowing nature to maintain its own sustainable levels. You see, that's a much better way of putting it than saying balance. Sustainable levels of population. And if we were to leave these 14 or 15,000 elephants to do what they have to do, eventually they'll get to a population that will start affecting the habitat and the environment so much that there will be large die-offs of elephants. There will be large numbers of elephants dying, not only elephants but possibly other animals too that will feel the brunt of it. It wouldn't be the end of the world, because the animals that will remain will have such a strong gene pool. They will be the diehards, so that when they start breeding again, the population will pick up with a much hardier animal. But those are time periods of hundreds, if not thousands of years that we're talking about, and us humans can't wait for things like that to happen. I don't think we could, in terms of tourism and economy and aesthetics, and here's an owl. It would be very difficult for the authorities to just allow elephants to reach their population peak and start crashing and have dead elephants lying everywhere. Not everywhere, but large numbers. This is a little barred owl. A little bit bigger than the pearl spotted owl. This is a little African barred owl. B-A-R-R-E-D. Not B-A-R-D as in the singer bard. Barred as in, not even as in band barred, but barred as in it's got barring. Oh, that's barely. They look like spots, but it's barring. Pretty little thing. All of about, bye-bye, all of about 6 inches long. I kind of like your little spotted owl up in Washington State in the forest. Where else is the spotted owl? A number of your forests in the US. So much controversy over saving forests for the sake of an owl. People just don't understand it. Least of all the logging companies. But there's wood, we can make money. Yes, but there's an owl there that if you take the wood and the trees away, the owl becomes extinct. So it's just an owl. There's lots of money in all those trees. No, but it's not just an owl, it's a vital element of the environment. It's just a little bird, for crying out loud. No, you know, just imagine that kind of conversation between the powers that be. How big is a spotted owl? Anybody? Hello, Hilke in the Netherlands. Are African hares the same as your European? No, they are not. I think your European hair is a little bit bigger. And I know this because somewhere along the line, I'm trying to think, I might have had to leave it in Tanzania. It just reminded me, I have a skull of a hare from Sweden, from Uppsala. That was given to me by a friend of mine who was doing his PhD through the university at Uppsala, studying lion in the Sulu Game Reserve. And he found this hare, it was roadkill, and he brought me the skull, and it was like a big giant jigsaw puzzle. I had to reconstruct the skull because it had been hit by a car, but it was somewhat different to, it had bigger zygomatic arches, bigger, what are the ear bullae. Overall it was a little bit bigger. Lepus is, I must find out what the species name is for the European hare, and I'm sure there's probably more than one hare in Europe. Compare it to our scrub hare. Our scrub hare is pretty widely distributed. I mean, I had scrub hares up in Kenya. Even the so-called Cape hare occurs up in Kenya places. I've been looking for some nocturnal animals. I've only seen one or two eyes that have turned out to be either steenbuck hiding in the grasses, and I didn't want to stop and disturb them because they diurnal, or maybe the eyes of a bush baby far in the bush, but I need to find something closer at hand for you. I've got such an itchy nose. Oh, I didn't do this for you today, everyone, but I did it this morning, and some of you might have missed it. And I know Linda might be watching now. Pepperbird. The sausage tree has lost all its leaves in the last 2 or 3 days, and it's starting to get its flowers. The flower buds are there. So we saw that this morning. We'll try and see in 2 days' time. There was one flower that has already opened, and tomorrow I'm sure there's going to be 2 or 3. The next day there might be 4 or 5. And sadly, because they're only opening one at a time, the birds are getting to them. It's only when it comes into full bloom that some are left behind. And I also wanted to mention something, because I read your story about the termites in Botswana. I wanted to just comment. I didn't finish telling you about the navigation system of insects and why it appears that they are attracted to light. But what it is artificial light creates vertical beams, and most insects navigate by the vertical, or rather the artificial light creates horizontal layers of or rays of light, and most insects navigate with vertical light rays that come down from the heavens, from the skies. And artificial light creates a grid of confusing navigational lines, and causes the insects to fly in ever decreasing circles towards the source of the light. So it's not like they like the light or they're attracted to it. It's just that it's almost as though if you had an aeroplane that was guided by a magnet and you had a giant magnet in the sky, the aeroplane would fly around and around the magnet until it flew into the magnet. So I'm just going to get up onto the open area. I know we've got to say goodbye now, but I just want to get up onto the open area just to see if there's one nocturnal animal for you. Oh, here's one of our Ellies. You know it's the same Ellies because he's got black socks and brown shoes. Sorry, baby. Good night. I don't want to sound like from these Ellies. We've had such a lovely time with them, and they're going to recognize the sound of the car. I don't want to upset them and think that I'm disrespecting them now. Here's another one. Good night, Mrs. Ellie. Thank you for the afternoon. Very precious. They're heading down. They might be around Treehouse Dam or Rebecca's Road or Zoe's Road. You know, it depends. They might do a big circle around Gowrie Dam tonight. Okay, I think it's time to bid you all farewell. I've had a wonderful Saturday afternoon. I hope I've enriched your lives today in some way. That way or that way? That way is better. Softer light. Brr, getting a little chilly. I think just in closing, and then we're getting beeping from the battery now. I just want to once again mention that I'm very sorry to hear about Dawn, who passed away, and that I know there are a lot of you out there who knew her very well and maybe got a lot closer to her than we did. I mean, for us that work here, we passed through, and for some of you, you've been here a lot longer than any of us that have been here for a while, and you do build up very, very close bonds with the viewers that spend time here consistently. I know for a fact that a lot of you out there are like close family to me already, and I'm never going to forget you all. But just thoughts to Dawn's family and those of you who were her friends. And I was hoping that elephant experience could be devoted or in memory of Dawn. So, one of our viewers that has passed on. My name is Mark. Becky has been on camera, and Tara has been in final control. Tara will be back again with you tomorrow morning. And from all of us here at Djuma Game Reserve, good night and goodbye. Have a wonderful weekend.
Hi everybody, this is Tara Final Control, and definitely a wonderful afternoon with the elephants. Very, very special to see them playing around in the mud and all that interaction with them as well. I'm glad to see that you all enjoyed it. It really was very special, and definitely our condolences to Dawn's family and friends, and thanks very much to Patty for letting us know about that. But do try and join us for our next live safari. It's going to be at 6 o'clock Central Africa time. And if Seb's back in time, I believe he was wanting to go out on drive. And I think it'll be either myself or Becky on camera. But if not, then it'll be myself on drive. So I'll leave whoever is supposed to be on drive as a surprise. And hopefully we'll see how it goes tomorrow morning. But Seb should be back tonight. And he did seem quite keen to go out on drive, so we'll see how he is after a long drive from Joburg. But take care, everybody, and we'll see you again soon.